So, my name is Vladimir, I'm a journalist.
Nice to meet you.
I communicate with prisoners of war, I communicate on general topics.
I understand.
I find out where you were, what you saw. Do you agree to talk?
Yes, sure, why not?
I don't know, some people don't want to.
No, I have nothing to hide.
Fine. What is your nationality?
Russian. Of course, I wanted to take my father's citizenship, but...
What is your father's last name?
Same last name, but he is a citizen of Latvia.
And that is, you wanted to take citizenship in Latvia.
It didn't work out because in 1993 I was under criminal prosecution in Russia. And in those days when Yeltsin was still president of Russia, an agreement was concluded with Latvia on the transfer between countries of citizens under criminal prosecution. That is, in return they had to extradite me to Russia, since I was under criminal prosecution there. They took me to customs and handed me over the Russian authorities, something like that.
Tell us about it, I'm interested.
It was 2005. I crossed the border illegally at my place of residence. Found my father. I spent some time with my father. And then I left OCCUPIERS by train to Riga. There I abused alcohol. This is how I attracted the attention of the police. The police took me off the train in Riga, but I did not hide the fact that I was a citizen of Russia. I was taken to the police station. A few days later I was taken to court. After the trial I was taken to the village of Olain, not far from Riga. There are people there who entered the territory of Latvia illegally. They are waiting for deportation there.
Have you simply been deported?
Yes, well, I wanted to stay there, but since there was criminal prosecution in Russia, which is why I crossed
Why were
the
you
border
persecuted
illegally.
in Russia?
I committed a crime, I committed a theft, robbery. I had a non-deportation, but I decided that way.
So you fled there to Latvia specifically to escape criminal prosecution?
Yes.
It's clear.
I wanted to stay there, but they showed me documents about the agreement between Latvia and Russia. It may not be there now, but it
It's
was
clear.
there in 2005.
I see that you have suspicion tattoos on your fingers.
Yes, I have
Can
been
you
for
show
many
me?
years. Yes, I spent many years in prison.
Alex,
Yes, Alex.
What
there are
is this?
stars here, there. And I did this in my
it
youth.
is a simple tattoo. Doesn't mean anything.
No.
Doesn't
No.
make any sense.
Nothing special.
It's clear. Nothing special. So
Nothing
you've been
special.
in prison since childhood.
Yes, from the age of 17 when I ended up in a children's colony, and so all my life. There is no family, nothing. There is a common law spouse. And for sisters who do not communicate with me because of my past, there is the mother. Mom has been retired for a long time. My sisters don't communicate with me at all. That's how unlucky I am. Something like this. I abuse alcohol. I don't have any profession.
I feel like we're now getting to the story of how you were mobilized.
Actually, I'll just tell you how it really is. I'm not first, I'm not the last. You will see everything for yourself, see who comes to communicate with you, men over 55, 60 years old. Now they... At the moment I have a criminal prosecution in Russia. Article 264. Not the first time drunk driving. Punishment is up to 4 or 5 years in prison.
And?
But on December 21, 2023, a local police officer came to see me, and employee of the military registration and enlistment office came. At that time, I had probably been drinking for 6 months. They came to me in the evening. They brought me another drink. I drank, well, after...
Where did they bring you the booze?
They brought it to my home.
District police officer?
The district police officer together with a military registration and enlistment office employee.
Did they bring you alcohol?
Yes, I was drunk. They also brought
Did
me
they
alcohol.
drink with you?
No, they didn't drink themselves. They brought me a drink.
Understood.
And while I was drinking, they gave me papers to sign. And when I asked the local police officer what it was, he told me, what difference does it make to you? You have criminal prosecution, thus you won't have one. On the 21st, I signed the papers, and on the morning of the 22nd, the military police came for me. They handcuffed me right in my home. They immediately took us to the airfield and put us on the plane. Candid.
In
I
handcuffs?
arrived...
In
What?
handcuffs?
No, the handcuffs have already been removed, but the military police were with me until the moment I got on the plane and the door on the military plane closed, so that I don't run away anywhere. I wasn't the only one. There were several people there who were guarded by military police. That's not the point. A few hours later, we arrived in Rostov-on-Don. From there, we loaded into trucks and transported to the territory of Ukraine. Namely, we were somewhere near Berdyansk. Here.
What month and year was it?
December 22nd. It turns out that on the 22nd we departed from Pskov and arrived in Rostov-on-Don in the evening. Then we waited for these trucks, loaded into 7 trucks. There were 237 and 104 regiments. Here some time passed before we loaded into these trucks. Then we went to Ukraine. Namely, they arrived not far from Berdyansk. There is no settlement nearby, just forest belts. We arrived and started setting up a training camp there. And the most interesting thing is that we built the training camp at our own expense. All the dugouts, all the boards. The Department of Defense provided credit cards and people had money there. The soldiers received 200,000, 300,000. Payments depended on the region, depending now how rich the region is. In St. Petersburg, for example, the governor pays more, in other regions less.
Are you talking about salaries now?
These were one-time payments that we given upon signing the contract. Well, I never received anything. I was told that I would receive it in February, but that's not the point. I'm just explaining the situation so that you understand that we built all the dugouts with our own money. We went to buy boards, beams, and isolation
Who did you
materials.
buy from?
What?
Who did you buy from?
In the city of Berdyansk, there were many different constitution stores and supermarkets there.
Did you just buy it at regular hardware stores?
Yes, we took a certain number of people into the truck, wrote out the document so that the truck could pass through the posts that were located near the city. We were stopped there and they checked the car. They looked to see if we were Chechens or not. And the driver had a paper on which, in addition to his name, it was written how many people were traveling with him. The truck would come into town, stop, and the soldiers would go shopping. We took insulation and film for dugouts.
Why did you remember the Chechens?
Because they are everywhere there. They go there and check what you are doing in the city. If you are in a uniform with chevron, then they may come up to ask question and look at your military ID. Drunk people can be taken to the commander's office. I'll tell you that even
What
in
functions
stores,
do they perform?
they looked after law and order. Also, on Russian television, they are talked about as tough military men, but in fact, these are TikTok troop. That's what everyone calls them. They don't do anything, even if you look at them. You probably don't need this. But he's just in Berdyansk. He has a machine gun, a lot of equipment. He walks around all clean and beautiful. Something like that. Why does he need the equipment? Why does he need a good uniform, a good helmet? He feels like God there. Something like this. But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but when coffins are brought to Chechnya... When
Repeat,
the coffins
please.
are brought to Chechnya...
So where can they bring them from? Where do they
At
die?
the beginning of the war, they went to Kiev, and when the coffins were brought to Chechnya, there was a riot there, and they were clearly explained that the Chechens would not die.
Fine. Then I will give you a small example.
Go ahead.
There are, in direction of Zaporozhye, there are currently 3 regiments whose headquarters are listed in Chechnya. These are 70th, 71st and 291st regiments. So that you understand, I now have friends there with whom we came here together, who are in the 71st regiments. Let's say regarding their staff, and here, by the way, here is their officer.
Yes, I'll talk to him.
Yes, look, he is an officer lieutenant.
I asked him.
Look, I am telling you for your understanding, the company consists of 80 people. Let's say one of these regiments, I think it's the 70th Regiment. Yes, the 70th Regiment is located in the city of Shali in the Chechen Republic, or the settlement
Well,
of the
Chechens
Shali.
may not necessarily fight there.
Yes, I'm just saying that he is listed. The company is listed as 80 people, but in fact there are only 40. This includes drivers and commanders, and the regiment 40 people are there. A soldier from this regiment was wounded and went for rehabilitation of the city of Shali, and those soldiers walk there and do nothing. And what are the Chechens doing anyway? They turn out to be masters of simulation. They can detonate a grenade 10 meters away from themselves, which will not cause much harm. Or they pull their leg out of a trench so that someone will be wounded. This is
Why
how
do they
do
stick
it.
their leg out?
Well, a leg or arm, what the difference, so that no fight? Because I'll tell you more simply about
You
291st
simply
or 70th
explain
Regiment.
understanding the situation well, but I don't understand. I don't know why I should put my foot out of the trench.
To get injured and leave, stay at home.
And stretching your legs would hurt you.
Naturally, that's it. They take a grenade.
So you say...
They are hand grenades. If you throw them 10 meters away, nothing will happen. They will cover your neck and everything else.
But there will be a shrapnel wound.
It's clear, of course.
Now I understand. I'm a
They
civilian.
go to Chechnya and they sit there in Chechnya and Shali, and then they forge a military commission for money, and that's it. They don't fight anymore. Do you understand?
Tastes
And
differ.
even more so, now there are large payments. Putin is probably printing money like crazy right now. So, now I don't even know how to say it. Even if such small fragments stretch a soldier's ear, he will receive 3 million rubles. It's like this. People are fleeing the front
How
lines.
that's 3 million rubles?
Immediately. They
To whom?
immediately pay 3 million rubles. To any military man. It doesn't matter. Mobilized or signing the contract or storms, anyone.
Why weren't you
I
paid?
didn't get any injuries. I stayed for 2 days and immediately went to surrender it. I handed over the machine gun, handed over the cartridges. True, when I went to surrender, I didn't take my bulletproof vest and helmet. I don't need this war. And in general, it's good that you came. I've been waiting to appeal to my government for a long time. I don't care what happens to this opinion and understand that when we fly back to Russia, they will put us on another plane and send us back. I don't need it. I won't fly anywhere else, and I won't fight.
So what will you do?
So let them
They will
send me to
handcuff
prison.
you
Let them put me in a jail. No one can force me to
But
fight.
this is the first time you were forced to do it.
It makes no difference. I'm sober now. Why? Also, the SBU say that they saw some of them here in captivity 2 or 3 times. The same people.
Well, not only SBU, I can also tell you what it is.
We talked with your GUR and SBU. The people there are responsible, and everyone says that in principle we have no way back. What can we do?
They say it right. They're like, look, you're not a prisoner, right?
No, I'm
You
not a
were
prisoner.
not taken from prison.
No. If you terminate the contract, then there's probably some kind of clause for non-compliance with the terms of the contract. Let them send me to jail.
It's great if it turns out that way, if it is according to the law.
There are rumors among prisoners of war that after returning from captivity we may be considered unreliable individuals or something like that.
Well,
Somehow... I'll tell you more on camera or just like that. I want to tell you about the Zaporozhye direction. There is such a terrible situation there now. Terrible things are happening there. I probably can't speak too strongly here.
you can, why not?
There is complete chaos there. In fact, there is complete chaos in all the troops that exist in Zaporozhye. People with guns run away every day. Why not run away? Everyone understands that there is
Where are they
death
running
there.
away to?
And I'll tell you now. The soldiers leave the front line, their positions, throw away their weapons, and find civilian clothes, and they go to Berdansk. In Berdansk itself, among the civilian population, there is a service that costs 100, 150 or 200,000 rubles when they take fugitives to the mainland in Russia in their cars, help them go through all the checkpoints and, I'm really telling you that if a person is slightly wounded now, they give him 3 million rubles. He has this money with him, let's go and cash them in the bank. Military personnel have 5 banks with which the Ministry of Defense cooperates. This is VTB bank. I was given a card from this bank at the airport. And also pay space, they say that you can already use it in Berdansk. They went and withdraw the money without any problems, or they asked someone to withdraw it and they all have cash on them. Now all military personnel even have passports, can you imagine? Everyone has passports. At the end of December, at the beginning of January, passports were issued to everyone. Previously, there were only military documents, but now there is a Russian Federation passport in my pocket. There's some kind of new law issued by the Ministry of Defense. All military personnel have passports. That is, now there are no problems at all. On the first day of your escape, they won't look for you, so you can freely go anywhere. There is no evacuation at the front, no one takes food there, so it's chaos.
I don't want to make the work of the Russian Special Services either and continue to delve into the situation. If they do this, then they are great.
Soldiers who are
Yes.
running. The soldiers are leaving. The soldiers are now waiting for spring, also I don't understand why they are waiting.
What?
All soldiers, including the officers, are all talking about spring. They hope that everything will stop in the spring. Some say that we need to wait for the American elections. But one way or another, this year everything becomes. But even if all this happens before the end of the
So
year.
elections in America are already at the end of 2024.
So that's the point. I also say that this is in December, January. Even your TV say that on average somewhere around 1,000 Russians die. Not 1,000 definitely, not 1,000, more than that. The dugouts should be 2 meters tall, but in some places they are only knee deep or even lower.
I'll explain it to you if you're interested. Our television relies only on confirmed facts.
Yes, you say that around 1,000...
If the drone recorded it as, we count it there.
Yes.
At the moment, more than 400,000 have died on the Russian side. This is recorded.
Yes.
But in Russia, they even refuse to believe in this figure.
Well, these are wrong number. These are too low estimates. I talked with both the main intelligence directorate and the SBU, and they, without saying a word, say that according to the most conservative estimate, it is 700, 800,000. And if you think about it, the regular army was destroyed in 2022, though 300,000 soldiers who were mobilized were also killed. Now there are very big losses everywhere. So I was in 3 pre-trial detention centers, Zaporozhye, Dnipro, Kyiv. There is I cross pass. As they say, I cross pass with the same prisoners of the war soldiers. They are all from different direction. They all had different tasks. I didn't hear that things were going well in any of these areas. Everywhere it's problems. That's why...
Well, we here of course all have an idea of how the Russian army fights, the maximum performance we received in Bakhmut and Avdiivka, because there was an influx of unprepared troops in huge numbers. This
Yes,
army
I
on
watched
the
the
one
news.
hand cannot be stopped, and on the other hand their losses are staggering. Yes, a piece of territory is occupied, there are no questions. From an operational point of view, this is probably a positive result. Well, what can you do here? The territories are occupied in any case.
Today I talked to a lot of people, and I'm sure that if your side needs it, you will take Avdiivka back in a few days. This has happened more than once.
We don't have that many troops.
You have skill, not quality. Do you think that this number of elderly soldiers who cannot even walk with body armor can resist you? I don't fully understand the Ukrainian language, but if I understood correctly yesterday, the Russian army used it in order to destroy your fortifications. They used 1.5-ton bombs for this, which...
Smart bomb, yeah.
This is, let them try to enter there
Even if
by
everything
force.
there was
They
filled
won't
with
come in.
concrete, these bombs would still penetrate them.
Well, I watched it yesterday. Your correspondent yesterday said that this 1.5 tons of bomb penetrates any fortification like papyrus, and papyrus is a paper. That's why these concrete shelters won't do any good.
But
So here...
at the same time, 4 bombers were still shot down.
No, without it.
Not without it, but here, yes, the question is the advantage of aviation.
They just scared us. They constantly told us about Ukrainian captivity, about castration and something like this, but in fact I didn't see it. Before I go to the hospital in Zaporozhye, I didn't eat for almost a week. I hardly drank water. I ended up in intensive care there. When I asked the doctors about what was wrong with me, they told me that I was dehydrated, just like that. That's all, they didn't beat me. When I gave up at the beginning, I waved my hand so that drone...
Lydia,
Yes, it was just an example. One employee of the Russian penitentiary system waved to the drone. The drone dropped him water and a note with instruction
I
on how
talked to
to
him.
surrender. Yes, this is Ruslan Anikin. He was a lieutenant in our prison. He stayed with you. That's why I was very cold then. From the 7 on the 8...
do you know what he posted on his social networks?
I don't know.
He said that a bomb was dropped on either Lithuania or Latvia. When I asked him why he published this, he replied that this was just a joke.
He seems like normal guy. I think he still has family there in
Well,
Russia.
he is a normal guy, but after he surrendered and his example became well known, during my interview he tried to somehow rehabilitate himself. He decided to show my great ideology, that he has beliefs about power and the like. It was like that. Yes.
I waved to the drone in exactly the same way. From the 7th to the 8th, there was a strong cold downpour in Zaporozhye. 8% immediately freeze into ice. The uniform
Because of
crunched
humidity.
right on the body. Yes, here I had new socks. I put the socks on my hands and waved like this to one drone. To the second, there was no reaction. I walked further down the road. Then I saw the Ukrainian military. I said that I was Russian. I knew down, took off the machine gun and threw it forward. Oh, they took the machine gun and took me with them. They gave me something to drink and smoke. I was taken accordingly to their command. This commander asked over the radio to connect him to the internet. No, not the internet, still the internet, and he was able to watch the video of how I walked toward them, where I passed. He watched everything. I wrote everything down. I have absolutely no regrets. I'm fine. We said that in any case they would not leave us alive here. Well, I see that there are 400 people in the camp. Everything is fine. They're working. Well, the only thing that work here is bad. No vacancies. We thought we would go to Lviv, so we went here. Now we are waiting to see
Let's
what
not
happens
discuss
next.
this. The camp is new and eventually you will have a job. That's not the question. You talk about giving up. Can you tell us anything else interesting? I'm particularly interested in the communication between Russians and civilians.
So, our troops were in Chertovati. They took us there, Zaporozhye
Yes.
region. This is a fairly large village or settlement. I don't
Yes,
know
yes,
what
village.
you call it correctly. There are many streets, there are many very differently military personnel stationed there, and there are airborne troops, rocket system, infantry, there are a lot of different ones. Local residents, Ukrainians, run for shops in this village. One of these stores, as I understand it, has always been a store, and the rest are located in private homes. The military write the list, and the store owns drive off to get the needed goods and bring them back. The military takes a lot of energy drinks, beer, and alcohol.
Have you communicated personally?
No, I was only there for 2 days.
Exactly.
I was there for 2 days and they took me away. I was engaged in the electronic warfare. I was taken to an open field. We drove from the Ocherovati one for about an hour in a tracked vehicle. Clean field. There is a pit in the field. This pit was covered with all kinds of brushwood and branches so that it could not be seen. That's all. I'm sitting there. My task was to turn on the electronic warfare installations, which were located 100 meters from me, as ordered. If they told me turn on the music, I turned on one setting. If they say turn on full, I turned on two. There were 2 car batteries there, and from this car battery there was also a wire to the generator. That is, if the batteries are discharged, then I turn on the generator and power comes from the generator. The first and second days they will still brought gasoline, then they stopped delivering it. The installation no longer worked, and then a drone arrived and bombed it anyway. Also, the installation was turned off. It was still bombed by both generators and installations. And with the commander,
So why didn't it work?
because there was no fuel. The batteries were dead and there was no gas in the generator.
Understood.
Your military also did something to walkie-talkie, it turns out. I would say answer all who can hear, and it would just make noise in response. They somehow jammed the signal. From me to the position of the Ukrainian military, it was about 500, 600 meters.
Yeah, what happened next?
That's it. I made a decision. I saw that there was nothing more to do here. There was no point in waiting for help, so I went to look for ways to surrender.
This is all? This is all your service?
Well, I stayed here a little. On the 21st, I signed a contract. On the 32nd, I arrived to the territory of Ukraine. Until December 1st, I was in boot camp doing construction. There provoked 3 platoons into drinking. We bought a lot of vodka in the store. In the morning, the guy said that I was the instigator of this, and I, along with another guy, was taken to the front. He is called Tainas Osteman. I even know his details. Andrei Vasilievich Korenev, born January 29, 1981. And he and I, as the instigators, were put in a car and taken on Occupiers, and 2 were sent to the front. But I was assigned to a radio electronic installation, and he was sent to the infantry. In his group, 8 people were sent somewhere to the front. Well, I think he's no longer alive.
I had some Korenyov.
Andrei Vasilyevich, he is short Korenyov Andrei Vasilyevich.
I don't remember it.
1981, January 29 is his birthday.
I won't remember.
I understand.
I have 3-4 people a day I met this name. Anikin. Anikin is here. And
Anikin
on
is
the
Ruslan.
same day Korenyov was there. From the description it seems similar.
That's all it seems.
Anikin couldn't have fought with you somewhere there.
Anikin Ruslan?
He's captured before you.
This one wasn't. Anikin, who worked as a policeman in the prison.
terms of?
In Russia.
Oh, in Russia. I thought maybe you had crossed paths with him somewhere.
No, I was a prisoner. He was a lieutenant, an officer.
In what prison?
3rd Correctional Colony, Pskov region, not far from the border with Latvia, maximum security penal colony.
You say that his behavior was normal for an employee.
Yes, sure, it was possible to communicate with him normally. Since their salaries are small, in case of violation, you could always negotiate with him for a cigarette. Or to go to another location, moment there is also prohibited, if I want to move from this sector to another.
I understand. He was generally afraid that he would be punished for surrendering.
And no one condemns him there. I talked to his colleagues.
No one condemns him about the rock among the people, but there is also the FSB.
Well,
They perceive it.
so that they come here, they will fight themselves. Well, that they come.
And you are a comedian.
So what? They tell us that they are somewhere in Moscow, and if anything happens, they will punish us. In Lefortovo prison, in some other prisons, say in
Yes.
basements. So what? So let them come here themselves. Or do they want to become great whistleblowers?
They don't want that.
But we want to
Haven't
leave,
you
but we
noted
want to
that they
leave.
started exposing them a long time ago? They don't want to, they are already doing it. Do I really have to explain to you that in Russia half of the country is in prison, the other half guard them?
No need.
Here you go.
And there are already 100 people in prison in this correctional
Well,
system.
they are guarding them. It makes no difference to them whether there are 100 or not.
Nobody wants to fight honestly. I'm telling you the truth. Honestly, they don't want
Where
to.
do Russians come from here if they don't want to?
This is how we recruit. They can give a person something to drink. He walks up at the military registration and enlistment office, and there
Well,
they can
you-
continue to give him more. Well, let's say I would like your president, who has the right to do so, to gather all this elderly military personnel and show it to the whole world. Look.
What the point? I've been doing this for 2 years now
So
personally.
how is this possible? How is this? Uzbeks appeared in the army. Tajiks have already appeared.
Here at the camp?
No, not in the camp, in these airborne troops. In the 108th Regiment of the Airborne Troops of Novorossiysk. He is also in Zaporozhye. There are both Uzbeks and Tajik there. They are bright with the citizenship. They promise citizenship. Well, of course, compared to Uzbek salaries, even 200,000 rubles will make him a millionaire.
Syrians?
Well, not the Syrians, but this...
Nepals.
Yes, they can easily catch a live mouse and eat it. It's completely nonsense. They don't understand Russian at all.
Mouse by the tail?
It was just a mouse running around the dugout. He caught it and simply ate
Nonsense.
it.
Have
Yes,
you
I'm
crossed
telling you
paths with
honestly.
these people?
Yes, sure.
Where?
Also in this Cheretovatoye.
Well, that's what I wanted to hear, and you told me about the dock and the installation.
But that's when I was sent, and I was in the village for about 2 days. I was everywhere there, and I went to a store, used Wi-Fi. There are near every store you can stand and find out the Wi-Fi code right on the sign. And all the military are there. You stand there and find out who is in the infantry and who is in the artillery. That is, there are all types of troops there. This Cheravati seems to have it all.
Klondike, huh?
Yeah, there is hard equipment, tanks and combat vehicles for all kinds. I haven't seen any wheeled armored personal carriers, but there are tracked ones. There are a lot of them. And when I talked with an SBU employee, I turned out that the 234th Regiment was supposed to change from the 237th on January 12th. The 234th Regiment was supposed to rest and then after the rest go to Kherson. I think that's exactly what's happened.
I lost the flow of the conversation. Did you specifically see in which trench that soldier eat the mouse?
I saw it in the village.
Why does he need a mouse in the village?
Well, the mouse ran, so
But you
he
had
caught
the
it.
food.
We did, but he caught the mouse by the tail, which is why I was surprised. How does he even eat it? We then made tea to drink. I disdained to drink from his mug. I didn't even want him to use the mugs.
Nepals.
Yes, he only speaks English. We started talking to him somehow, found out that he came to Russia to study. It was expensive to study, and he somehow ended up in the army. There were about 5 or 6 citizens of Nepal.
Isn't this the one here in the camp?
I don't know. I haven't seen a single Nepal.
Have you
here.
already communicated with everyone?
No, we just arrived recently.
Ah, are you just back from
Yes,
quarantine?
we were in quarantine, of course. 5 or 6 Nepals.
What the hell else was even interesting?
This happened in the
in
village.
the village.
What's interesting? Drinking almost the crew, there were energy drinks, beer, the locals didn't bring vodka on the
When
beer.
you were drinking, were there any military patriotic impulses?
Well, what impulse? I will call everything by its proper name. They shouted that the officers were
Yes.
all scum, that they are probably sending us deaths, who needs all this. In short, they only shout when they are drunk that no one needs this and decide to talk about it.
So no one is eager to fight.
On the contrary, everyone wants to desert. Sometimes it happens that even entire platoons of 25-28 people refuse to carry out combat missions. They just refuse, saying they won't go. They threaten it to call them deserts, and anyway they want to leave. The immobilized respond more easily when they are sent to certain deaths. They say, go to hell, I am not going, I didn't ask to come here, I haven't a family back home. That's all. In some regiments they beat you for such things, they can tie you up, throw you in a pit. I've heard stories about it.
Well, haven't you seen this?
No, I didn't see this, I just heard about it.
I just heard it too, and the stories are very different. Your story and the story that are told here. And about the barrage detachments.
I heard about the detachments only here in the camp, and you're basically Storm Z's specialization.
Yes.
Storm Z even give weapons only at last resort. Otherwise they just sit there. If there's a place to unload this group, they disarm them and that's it. It's like that, and they got this squad standing around. I heard about that. I didn't see it, but I heard it. Well, thanks God. I only stayed here for a few days, and thanks God that everything turned out this way.
In
at all.
short, you went so the drone
Didn't react to anything. I didn't throw anything at me. I moved on.
and who will throw at one?
Whoa, this is where you are completely wrong. You know, when your military took me prisoner and while they were taking me to commander, they told me. They say 2 points. Your Russians are so vile, you can pretend to be dead. But we don't believe you anymore. We don't believe you anymore. We have a lot of drones. Until this body turns over, we won't drop anything. That's it.
Again, this is not always the case. There are not always many drones. In some it doesn't happen. And if, for example, the drone operator has some kind of problem with dropping or
What army are you talking about now?
about ours.
You don't have problems. Yesterday I heard again from whom was this said.
In short, it happens like this. You look at one. He goes to his dugout, into the dugout, and drops a bomb. And there is not 1, but 5. This is how it happens more often. Sometimes there is one who tries to pretend to be dead. In short, it all works, and it all works. Continue.
I saw that. I watched the news yesterday and they say that there were not enough shells. How is it that there aren't enough shells? For every projectile fired from Russia, more are flying from your side, and they are flying toward the target. Even when your military was leading me,
And
they
this
say
is said
that
in the context of Avdiivka, because there wasn't enough, because it's already been bombed so much that
I'm
it just...
talking about the Zaporozhye in general. The guys say that when our artillery starts shooting, they
Imagine
start ducking.
Avdiivka, 15,000 inhabitants,
Yeah.
right? A group of 50,000 soldiers entered Avdiivka.
Now 50,000.
Yes. There are different numbers mentioned from 40 to 50,000 people. At the same time, Russian military correspondents claim that the capture of Avdiivka cost twice as much as the capture of Bakhmut. And in Bakhmut, as Prigozhin said, there were 15 or 20,000 dead and 40,000 wounded. If it's twice as much, then I can't even imagine this nightmare. How? Of course you can imagine.
Well, great. I have no doubt that if there is a strong need in Ukraine, they will win it back. When your people lead me, they said, I wish your 58-tank army would come soon. Well, I decided to ask them a question. Why do you need our 58-tank army? They answer, why? We want to take the tanks. As has happened more than once, they say we will take the tanks. They say that unlike your drone operator, their operators study about for 2-3 months and not 2-3 days. That Ukrainian soldiers can throw any projectile at the smallest
They will
target.
abandon it.
And not like ours. When they brought me in, artillery started bombing from our Russian side. I jumped. They said, don't bend. Your artillery will either hit you, your positions, or the other direction. They say that when your artillery works, they don't even bend. And so it is. I see a military sitting quietly using a tablet. Shots are coming from Russia, but they don't even pay attention. Because no matter what they say, ours definitely won't be able to get yours. They say they will either destroy your trenches or shoot in the other directions. That's why. He says that, of course, in some frontline territories where regular armies are stationed, there are those who can cause damage. Your military says, if he comes to us, we will retreat and work on the mistakes, but your command does not change anything. Every day they send soldiers to the same point, and we kill them all the same position. They bomb and bomb the same position.
Yes, but there is one problem with all this. People like you. In a country with a population of 140 million, there is still a lot. This is precisely why nothing changed every day. Therefore, they bomb and bomb on position and nothing changed every day, because Russians are being pulled here and pulled. It's clear?
When I go to this camp, the boot camp that they started building, I went to the company commander. I explained my situation to him. He took me to the commander of the staff or the deputy commander of the staff. I don't remember. Some officer. I don't remember his call sign. His last name was Shesterkin. It was the commander of the headquarters of Division 376. This is a military man. The rank, I think, is no less than colonel or lieutenant colonel. I explained my situation to him. He told me to call my relatives and have them call the military prosecutor's office. Allegedly, I was not the first to get here by deception. I approached the doctor too. I asked him to examine me. I even want to show it on camera so that everyone can understand what we are talking about. So, I arrived there in this state. The medic looked and immediately told the commander not to arm me, that I needed to be sent to the hospital for surgery.
Do you mean this?
Here it is.
Hillock, right?
Yes.
What
It's a
is
hernia.
this? Hernia?
Obviously a hernia, but the commander said that it didn't matter, let him go to fight. Also, I didn't undergo a medical examination, nothing like that, but I have a punctured hernia here. Can't serve, I can't wear any weights or a bulletproof vest, and they took me in this state and sent me away. What is this?
I understand.
And I'm not telling you this. Just explaining to those who will watch this video. Here you can see with the naked eye what is this. Nevertheless, the Russian army takes everyone. Takes fraudulently. And how many? It's the 71st Regiment. You will probably
I'll put
call
it
him
on.
again.
Tighten up.
There are people. People signed contracts as drivers and they were taken and made stormtroopers.
No, you're
They're
telling
all
me
sitting
such
here.
obvious things.
They are all sitting here. The entire
I know this very
71st
well.
Regiment.
And fasten the top one too.
That is, these people are all here. It's easy to do.
Are people outraged or is everything
Of
fine?
course.
Or do they
Of
like
course.
everything?
No. Everyone here in the camp, literally everyone, is thinking about how to cheat the system. There are people who have already been wounded and they have 3 million in their accounts and they are ready after their arrival in Russia, in Moscow, to give all the money just to be left alone. Everyone thinks about this, but not everyone can do it.